I always looked at, I guess, parenthood as like a trap. So you can't do anything after that.
Mum life is hard. I take my hats off to any mum that stays home with their kids 24/7.
But that does not come natural to me. I spent 5 nights in hospital and I was always ringing that bell. That's, I guess, where mama judgment comes from, is that they're doing something different to what you're doing, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing it wrong. Open your eyes, Holly. Like, oh, look at your son. Look at him. And I had the biggest fear of a good mother is a sane mother. So whatever you need to do to keep yourself sane.
Well, back in the bloody
I know,
ages,
they just do it themselves.
they just did it. So I'm like, I don't need modern medicine.
Okay, now I understand the empowering thing. Like, I feel so empowered.
Okay, I'm the female. I should know. I've carried this baby for 9 months. Doesn't mean you know what you're doing. Trust me. Oh my god, these naan breads look incredible. Oh my god, this looks so
I know.
So this was the lamb korma?
Yeah. I think, yeah. It looks like it.
Yeah. I feel like they always stinge you out on the meat though. They always like pack it full of sauce, don't they?
I don't mind though, because I love the sauce. It's
Do
the best
you?
part,
Yeah. But you don't eat it with rice.
No,
So do you just
I
scoop
don't
the
like
sauce?
rice. Well, I dip it in the naan. Like, I have a stupid amount of naan bread.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I
mean,
have like 2 persons worth of naan bread.
I can't lie, I have both.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
I should
everyone.
put rice. Oh, you're filming already?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I was like, when's she gonna get up?
Yeah, no, I've had it on.
Oh,
had it
good.
on going.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, we're gonna begin the topic, I think,
Yeah,
because otherwise
okay.
we'll have an hour's worth of footage
Good
of just
idea,
talking
yeah.
about the Indian, which I can't complain about. How are we all? Welcome back to another episode. Today, I am joined by the lovely Holly from the Bush Collective. As always, I will leave her link down below if you want to go check her out on Instagram. She is a fabulous photographer, and that's just your side hustle, isn't it? Like, you're a teacher full-time or part-time?
No. I'm just doing relief this year, so and next year actually I got approved.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then you just do the photography around that.
Yeah. It's really good.
Well, I can say firsthand that her work is amazing because we got the maternity, it was sort of maternity shoot / like family update photos when I was about 30 weeks, wasn't it? It was a little while ago.
I made you climb a fence.
Yeah, you did. But it was worth it. The shots are worth it. But yeah, as I said, go check her out. She's incredible. But what we're going to discuss today is the topic of the pressure to be a natural mum, and we kind of got questions in 2 different ways about this. The way that Holly was referring to was actually like, before you have kids, the pressure for it to come naturally, like from other people, and for us being females to put babies and mum life first and not necessarily career first, and that sort of side of it. But then we did also get questions about, like, you know, the balance of healthy lifestyle and like being organic natural products, organic, compared to, I guess, the modern day alternatives like TV, fast food, that sort of stuff. So we're going to delve into both areas, which I think is which I think is really going to be interesting, and it'll cover off a few topics. But anyway, we've asked questions over on Instagram, as we usually do. So if you're not following me over on Instagram, do that as well, so you can be contributing in any of the episodes coming in the future. Also, just quickly before we get stuck into the topics, I thought we'd chat about what we've got today. We've got our classic Krispy Kreme donuts. Then you got 2 cheesy garlic naans. Yep.
This one's just not enough.
No, I can smash one.
Yeah.
I can smash a whole one. And then some Papa Jams. Well, you got 1 Mad Cow meal. I don't know if that's something that you guys... Is it Mad Cow?
No,
Holy Cow.
Holy Cow. Yeah.
Holy Cow meal. I'm thinking of like Mad Cow.
Which is a lot. You get rice.
Yes.
The curry, a full-size curry too. That's a large. 3, how many is that? 3 papadums and a...
Samosa.
Really?
And a sauce. Yeah. So all for like $10 or something like that.
That's so cheap.
But even their curries themselves aren't that expensive either.
No.
So then, yeah, we've got some rice, some madras.
No, chicken tikka masala.
Chicken masala. I keep getting confused between the 2. Lamb korma and a mango chicken. So we're going to enjoy this.
My first question is, did you have an instant bond with West, who's my son, in belly or after? So I guess that's a pretty relevant topic. A lot of people either don't bond or they don't get, you're led to believe that when the baby's born, you'll have this beautiful, happy moment and you know, you get to know them in the womb and things like that. I think because I had hyperemesis gravidarum,
Which just explain what that is, because yeah,
it's like severe morning sickness. You lose a bunch of weight. Most people are hospitalized. I was. You can't even keep water down. I had to have a drip for hydration. And you just have to be super careful. My obstetrician ended up telling me, like, eat whatever you possibly can. And I think I survived most of my pregnancy on Monte Carlo biscuits.
Oh my gosh.
Because I just could not get, the thought of food, even, like, you'd think about, what's for dinner? Literally, there was nothing that I could think of
that you wanted.
That I wanted. Like, you just lose. And I was like, where is the hunger that I was promised?
Yeah.
I wanted to just devour food and have all of the cheeky things, but couldn't eat. I was literally grey. I was a shell. And I would spend most of my days just on the couch. I had to have 2 full terms off work, so that's 20 weeks. But yeah, my obstetrician ended up just saying, you just have to eat whatever you possibly can, because your placenta will work it out. Like, it'll grab the nutrients, you know. So I don't think I really had the mental capacity or, you know, the energy or anything to bond while I was pregnant. And my labour was great. I had an awesome labour, which people kept telling me, if you've got like a bad pregnancy, you'll have an awesome labour.
Yeah.
I had an awesome labour, had a doula. And when he was born, they put him on my chest and my eyes were closed. And they were saying to me, open your eyes, Holly. Like, oh, look at your son. Look at him. And I had the biggest fear. Or what if I'm not going to like him? Like, what if I don't like him? What if I open my eyes and don't like him?
I think that's a lot of people's fears too, though, because even though I didn't feel like I had a lot of pressure before having a baby to want kids and to have a kid, I felt the pressure when I was pregnant to, like, I think any mum would feel that pressure, because you're about to have this thing for the rest of your life. Yeah. So it's like, what if I don't like it? What if I get postnatal depression? What if all this stuff, and it can play on your mind, and then, as you said, like, it's just that moment of, I'm about to meet this child. What if I don't feel that instant connection kind of thing, and it doesn't come naturally?
No. And the big reason I didn't want to get induced or have an epidural is because I really didn't want Syntocin.
What's that again?
That's the synthetic version of oxytocin. So if you're induced or your body doesn't produce enough oxytocin, they give you a drip with Syntocin, which is like the synthetic version.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And obviously it's not as good as the real thing, oxytocin, which makes you really happy and makes you forget it, makes you have that love feeling. And I kept saying, I don't want Syntocin, I don't want it, I need the real thing. Like, I'm prime for postnatal depression, like, I need it. And they ended up having to give me Syntocin anyway. But I had my own oxytocin. It was just because I bled out, and Syntocin can kick in somehow and help you stop bleeding. Yeah.
But it didn't affect how you felt.
But it didn't affect, no, obviously. I loved him straight away. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And it comes, but I've had friends who that, you know, doesn't happen for.
Sometimes bonds can take a little bit of time.
Sometimes it can take a few days. I think
even weeks for some people.
Did you always want to be a mum? So, no, I don't think so.
You didn't always?
It definitely wasn't on my top. I knew that I would always have kids. Yeah. Maybe 1, maybe 2.
But do you think that's because of the pressure of society? Or do you think because your partner would want to do that when and if you met him? Or?
Yeah, I think it was more other people's wants than what was expected of me. Obviously, now that it's happened, I wouldn't have it any other way. But I had other things on my list that I wanted to do beforehand. I wanted to get my career underway. I wanted to do a lot of overseas travel. Like, I didn't want to just, you know... I always looked at, I guess, parenthood as like a trap. So you can't do anything after that. Like, you'll never travel, you'll never...
But people like to remind you of that.
Yeah,
they say that to you.
Yeah, yeah. But my grandparents, we were planning our big trip once we got married, and my grandparents were like, yep, get it done now, because you won't be able to do it once you have children, blah, blah, blah. And it scared the bejesus out of me.
Oh my gosh.
Like, really? I'm never going to travel? Like, what do you mean?
And you've just got back from traveling.
Yeah, we just travelled with our 18-month-old to Europe. So, I think that's a lie.
And it went better than expected, didn't it?
Yeah. It was great. He was great. But, yeah, I think that sort of scared me a lot. So I ticked all of those boxes first, and then there was sort of no more boxes to tick. And I just thought, oh, you know, I'm 28, I probably should have a child soon. And yeah, we did, yeah.
Well, that's really good. I do think that society is great at accepting people having children later now. Like before, if women didn't, then it was deemed unnatural. Just wrong, because you wouldn't last the years, and how selfish, exactly. I am on the other side of, not the argument, but the topic. I support anyone in whatever decision they want to make. That's their own choice. But for me personally, I always did want to be a mum, and I knew that from a very young age. And I actually never had any career goals, which was, trust me, I tried. I worked long and hard to think of something, and for a while I wanted to do psychology or something like that, and then I just didn't get the OP for it in uni, and I just thought, well, you know what, I'm just going to kill time till I actually do what I want to do and be a mum. And for some people it is the case, but that's still, like, even though I really wanted it, doesn't mean that pressure or the guilt or the fear disappears, because it actually can sometimes increase that fear. Because for me, that was how I felt with Darcy. I was subject to depression before I fell pregnant with kids, so I was already at a higher risk of postnatal depression, which I brought up with my midwife, and I ended up highlighting to her that I'm scared that when I have this baby, it's not going to fulfill all of those dreams, and that I won't be a natural mum, and that it won't come naturally like I think it will. Because when you have 10 years behind you, so I reckon probably around maybe 12, I started to realize that that was what I wanted to do. Seriously, that was what I wanted to do, not like, oh, I want to be a mum when I'm older and that sort of thing. Like, you actually think, actually, this is what I want to do. And then when I was 24, I fell pregnant with my son. So I've had 12 years there to think, this is what I want. And then what if in 9 months it just comes crashing down, or it's the worst experience of my life? And I was scared as heck, and I was prepared for postnatal depression because you just don't know.
No.
But I'm very thankful and lucky that didn't happen for me post-birth. I actually did fall in love with Das straight away. But it's actually ironic that since having Oswin, I have found more of a business passion in this and what I want to do, and a side hustle, you might say. It doesn't mean that I still don't want to be the best mum to my boys, but mum life is hard. I take my hats off to any mum that stays home with their kids 24/7. 1 kid, 4 kids, however many kids, like, honestly, that is just, my hats go off to you, because if Darcy didn't have his daycare days, I would be absolutely in my bed crying. And this takes my mind off it. So I now am struggling with that guilt of not being the mum that I thought that I always was going to be, which I thought that I would be home 24/7 with my kids, be the sole carer, and I battle with that fear, not fear, but what's the word? The guilt every week that I send him to daycare. I'm like, but you're home, you should be doing it. Just because I'm home doesn't mean I'm doing nothing, I'm actually working, but it's like trying to come around that battle.
And also, like, you're not, I don't know, I would always think, oh, you know, I'm a teacher, I should be setting up activities for him.
Oh, that's a good point.
And I would, and I do, but not as much as they would do at daycare. Like, he's learning so much more being with them, more so than he would be with me at home.
But also, there's a team behind the business that they go to in daycare. There's multiple people who are getting paid to put the time in, but you are just one person at home trying to think of all this stuff, and it's just not the way that it is.
No.
Like, sometimes there are mums who are very passionate about doing that, but it's not for everyone.
And it doesn't come naturally.
No.
It didn't to me.
I just realised I haven't even delved into the naan bread yet, and I'm super mad at myself for it.
It's really good. So something else I wanted to talk about was, I guess, our decision to go private.
Okay.
Hospital-wise. And I obviously have friends that did both. So friends that went public and friends that went private. And
can I ask, did you have private healthcare? Yes, or is that something that you had?
Yeah, so I did that even before we started trying. I was like, I need to organise my own private hospital cover. But the thing that sort of really made me make that decision is because I wanted that time in hospital. I was so fearful about, you know, giving birth. I've heard horror stories of people that go public and they literally are there for 24 hours or less. Like, if you give birth in the morning, you're checked out in the afternoon.
I hear that quite frequently too.
And I can't, and a lot of my friends did that and they loved it.
Yeah.
And that's fine if it comes natural to you.
Yeah, if you choose that.
You know, that does not come natural to me. I spent 5 nights in hospital and I was always ringing that bell, asking questions. I was like, right, and your latch completely changes when your milk comes in. And that didn't come in till day 2 or day 3.
Yeah.
I would have been home and freaking the fuck out. Like, it was just a whole different ballgame. Like, breastfeeding was easy before my milk came in. All the colostrum, it was fine, no problem.
Yeah.
Oh, this is easy. And then my milk came in and I was like, suddenly I can't latch and I can't figure this out. And I was pushing that button constantly. And so by the time we left, 5 nights later, it was only meant to be 4 nights, but he had jaundice, so we stayed in one more night.
Okay.
But after, 6 days, I felt like I was a pro. Like, I felt really confident in all of the different areas. There's no way, if I was to have another baby, I'd definitely go private because some people need that extra assistance. There's no way I'm confident enough, and I'm sure a lot of people feel the same.
Yeah.
To be checked out 24 hours after giving birth.
Well,
Because it's completely different.
Yeah, I think it's dependent on the hospital that you go to. Because for me personally, the hospitals that I've been to haven't sent me home. But then I have also been a C-section mum.
Yeah.
So I feel like the recovery, they want you in at least 2 days.
Yeah.
Which I still think is a crazy short amount of time for having a C-section. But
Definitely. Particularly since you can't move.
No.
Like, you can't get up and walk.
Well, they actually say to move as soon as you can. And, I mean, without getting into the whole story of it, but with Das, it took me... Well, it didn't take me. They didn't ask me to walk until the next day. And I ended up having a lot of pressure sore problems for months and back issues because of that. Whereas this time I was, like, pushing them to, like, get me to walk the same day.
Yeah,
and they actually encouraged that because they said it will be painful, but the sooner that you start up, the better it'll be.
Yeah.
Hands down the best decision that I made because the next day I was walking like a pro.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, but I this time actually chose to go back sooner. So I birthed at the Redlands this time, whereas with Das it was at Logan. And the Logan, I'm pretty sure were trying to get me out ASAP. I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure they were like, right, so you're ready to go now? And I was a first-time mum and I was freaking balls, but at the same time, it was a shared unit. So I had a snoring lady next to me and she was very obnoxiously loud and brought visitors around. So I was actually egging to go home, not because I felt ready and without the support, but because I just couldn't have her. There is a fabulous service in the public hospital where they actually get the midwives to come visit you at home if you leave early.
Yeah.
It's an extra service. So it's not your usual post visits, but there's extra ones you can request to have in the first couple of days if you're home. So do remember that if you go public. And then this time I just chose to go back. Was it day 3 or day 2? I think it was day 3. And they wanted me to keep me in a further day, but I was saying no, I really want to go home, like because I had Das here, and it just felt like I wanted to start the family of 4. So I do think it's dependent on the person, but yeah, I mean, I personally have no care if someone goes private, public, but I do know what you mean. I think there is a bit of judgment around the private side, and I think that comes from a lack of info, but also. Wouldn't anyone want to go private if they could? Do you know what I mean? And financially, I know we couldn't.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bit of that jealousy maybe from some people.
Yeah.
Or it could also just be that they've had negative experience in it. Who knows? Honestly, so always going to be someone that's annoyed with the decision that is made by somebody.
And that's the thing. That's, I guess, where mama judgment comes from, is that they're doing something different to what you're doing, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing it wrong. So don't judge them. It's not an indicative of you doing it wrong and them doing it the right way. It's just a different way.
Just different ways, yeah. And that is a great segue into different ways of parenting, which is sort of what we got a lot of questions about in terms of the natural mum, sort of organic and that sort of stuff. I'm going to pull up one of the questions because it reminded me of one of those. So Montana.Lloyd asks, do you ever feel judged by other mums if everything you do isn't always natural? I do, but
definitely
not because I've had anyone directly say something to me, but just because in my mind, and I think this comes down to, social media, I talked about this with Tana, but social media has changed a lot, which is great, and it means that we're not necessarily going to TV or the magazines for ideas or concepts of how to be a mum. We're actually getting it from real mums now. So I think this is where it's hopefully going to change for future generations. But for me personally, because I haven't seen it growing up, mums talking about, oh yeah, I put my kid in front of the TV while I breastfeed every now and then. And you know what, we do have an hour of iPad time at the end of the night, or whatever it might be in your house. That's all normal, and it might not be someone else's normal, but it's okay if that's your normal. And that's how I feel anyway. That's the way I get past feeling, guilt, that's the one. My guilt of putting Das in front of the TV while I have to deal with Winnie sometimes, and vice versa, putting Winnie in a chair. Like back in the day, that would have been deemed unnatural because you're not keeping your baby close to you, or the whole baby wearing debate's another one. It's just like there's so many debates out there, and it honestly just comes down to what you said before, which is just everyone's different. Everyone has a different way of doing it.
What makes you feel better about yourself and feel more confident in yourself, and just a good mother is a sane mother. So whatever you need to do to keep yourself sane, that's, But also, I think food as well, like what you're feeding your children.
Well, that was someone else's question. Does it really matter if you don't feed your child organic fruit and veg? Ask Caitlin_Green94. I personally am of the opinion that but I'm probably going to get flack for this, but just give whatever gets you through. Like, I give a variety of things, so I'll always make sure I offer the fruit or veg, or I offer that on the plate. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to let him starve, especially at this age. And that's where just having it on the plate is at least a start. In terms of organic food, I don't know why I put that in quotes, organic food, I don't source organic. Do you?
Where I can, but like I'm not. I don't go to the markets anymore.
No, that's what I mean. I don't have this
whatever Coles has. A lot of the time I buy frozen organic berries because it's cheaper.
Yes,
I think
do
berries
that.
are important to be organic, but other than that, he just eats what we eat. We don't eat at the same time, so we don't eat dinner together, but whatever we've had for dinner, we just save a little bit for the next day or whatever for West.
Something else to talk about, which related to earlier. Sarah Dunce Z asks, the pressure to be a natural mum in regards to breastfeeding instead of formula, and someone else also, Adventures of Darcy and something, I can't see the rest of the name, says, do you find lots of pressure to breastfeed, and if not, how do you deal with the criticism? So there was a few about breastfeeding, and I guess versus formula. I have done both. So with Darcy, I tried to breastfeed for 9 months, but he was a reflux baby and would vomit every single thing up, and he'd scream for hours. So I had to end up expressing, thickening, feeding that in the bottle, and then breastfeeding every single feed.
I didn't even know you could thicken.
Yes.
Wow.
It's an Aptamil brand thingy. But now in hindsight, I wish that I had have taken that pressure off myself to be the natural mum and just given formula at the beginning of each feed and thickened that. Because the amount of time that I spent pumping just to thicken 15 mil to then continue the breastfeed, like I should have just done that. And I said to Elliot this time around, I'm going to take that pressure off myself. And don't get me wrong, I'm still feeling mum guilt when I do give formula. I've been reaching for formula if I go on a date night or whatever, instead of being like, 7 days before, I've got to pump for 7 days, because your boobs make what your baby needs. It doesn't have an extra source.
No.
For it to have an extra source, you have to do it consistently, and I'm just not that organised now.
No.
Like, I was with Das because I felt like I had to be, but also I should say that the reason I felt such pressure too with Das to continue breastfeeding was because we were just new to being one income. So I felt like that financial pressure. Yeah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I guess it's not really if you have a lot of money, but we were literally on one income. We just started to pay off extra debt. And I was like, no, I have to stay to breastfeed. Like, I have to continue to do it. But this time around, I've just said, no.
Yeah.
Your sanity is the main important
that's
thing.
What's important. Yeah, exactly. I breastfed for almost a year. I think it was 11 months, but my boobs just dried up. I could tell he wasn't getting anything.
Right.
And whether he just wasn't drinking as much, he was, I don't know, but they just, and I was like, oh, I could have the cookies and have the milks and stuff to make them produce more, but I was
11 months is
done.
amazing though. Like, that's a long time. _Marie_98 asks, a birth is a birth and all come with their own pros and cons. Wish everyone's seen it like that. And then she also said, why is there such a push to have a natural drug-free birth? So over this debate, drugs, vaginals or C-section. Yeah, good point.
I think there is a lot of pressure. Definitely before, or when I was talking to my obstetrician, there was a lot of pressure from other people saying, oh, just because you're going private, don't try and fight against it. Use this, make sure that you know your rights and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, look, I just want this baby out. I don't care. Yeah. But there was definitely a lot of pressure, A, to try and not have a cesarean, and 2, to try and do it without the epidural.
Question for you on that. With the try not to do that, was that from you personally not wanting to have a scar or a surgery, or was it just from external?
Because I didn't care a damn. I was like, I don't care. You're not going to be able to see the scar. I don't wear bikinis on a good day.
Yeah.
So who's going to? Yeah. It just doesn't matter to me at all.
I was the exact same.
Yeah, and I don't care. And then I just thought, it's just whatever happens. I've got no real. I wrote a birth plan, but I was happy for it to go out the window if need be.
I love how it's called birth plan, and yet
I know
it never goes to plan.
Well, I think I'm the only person I know that my birth went to my birth plan.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
Mine didn't go to
it's great. I don't want to rub it in or anything, but my birth plan came to life. But no, literally so many people were telling me all the negative things about having an epidural, what it can do to you, what it can potentially do to Bub. And then someone told me, or it was a mum that had already given birth, and she said, I just wanted to see what my body could handle, because that's the most that your body can sort of handle. And that was a really nice perspective, and I was like, yeah, I want to see what my body can handle.
It's so funny you say that, because I was thinking about this morning. I saw this question when I was sending it through to you, and I don't normally look at questions, by the way, before I film, but this one popped up, and it made me think, why do we have pressure to have a natural birth and to go drug-free? And it got me thinking what I wanted before my whole situation went down. And it was an internal race with myself. I'm very competitive. I always strive to be my best self. And I thought, because my mum had a natural birth with all of us, and she actually went drug-free apart from the gas mask. And so for me, mum talking so highly of her births and being so positive about them, and she was just really thrilled that she could do it that way and all that sort of stuff. She didn't ever make it rub it in or anything. It was just her talking so happily and positively about her birth that then I guess over time instilled in my mind, I really want to do that. I want to be happy about my birth. And then there was also that, can my body handle this? And how far can I get myself before having to ask for the drugs? And I do also feel like it instilled from my mum a little bit. She always used to be like, you're such a Katie, you're so emotional. She'd instill this in me. So then I had almost that little bit of I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm no wussy when it comes to pain. So I think part of it is that, where we internally say to ourselves, no, do your best. You could do this. Because I always think, well, back in the bloody ages,
they just do it themselves.
They just did it. So I'm like, I don't need modern medicine. But then the other side of it comes from people almost bragging that they've had a natural birth, which I do see a lot. But at the same time, you do also deserve to celebrate your wins. And I do strongly believe that, whether it be that you birthed your baby successfully anyway, or whether it be that you went drug-free, or whatever it might be. Same with the whole breastfeeding thing. It's just celebrate it. You don't have to stress. But from a mum who
literally made a human being.
Celebrate that.
Yeah.
But from a mum who's had a C-section, and I think it comes from nobody. Well, I mean,
Did you both C-sections?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the second one was planned. First
Yeah.
one should have been planned, but all of the obstetricians and midwives disregarded that information and thought it wasn't important. My previous surgical history.
Right.
I guess some people choose, and in some cultures they choose to have a C-section.
Yeah.
But for a lot of mums, we don't choose it. So there's almost that resentment.
Yeah.
Not necessarily resentment's not necessarily the right word. It might be for some people, but almost jealousy that we didn't get that choice. Because I really felt like I didn't get the choice, even though they said you can choose. But it's probably in your best interest to not do that. That's not really a choice in my opinion.
And when you're in that moment, you just think, well, I've got to do what's right for the baby. Like,
right.
Whatever you say, you're the expert.
Well, the baby would have been fine either way.
Okay.
So for me, it was a selfish decision.
Yeah,
It was like, either I have a bag attached to me for the rest of my life to go into, or I don't. And that would affect how I would be with my kids when I'm older. Can I exercise? Can I run with them? For me personally, the instinct is natural survival. So just like do it naturally. The old people used to be able to do it that way. You can too. And it's kind of like almost your inner, not angel, but your inner like motivator. You're like, you've got this, girl. Like you can do it. And then that I guess translates to drug-free, natural, all the rest of it. But I have no opinion or qualms either way. I think as long as you make the decisions that are best for yourself and your baby. There's no wrong. There's no wrong way. No.
I had a friend who had a cesarean first, and then she had a VBAC, so she had a vaginal birth for her second. And as soon as she'd had it, like the next day or something, she was messaging me, and she said, "Okay, now I understand the empowering thing. Like I feel so empowered after this birth. Like she had a natural birth without painkillers after having a cesarean the first time, and she's like, I feel like Superwoman. I could do anything. Like I just birthed a watermelon out of my pain med free. I feel so empowered. So I think that maybe there's a difference that way. I don't know, but
I think that comes down to like you could have done it back in the older days, and I didn't need any help or assistance. I just did something naturally, which I guess is the whole topic, isn't it?
Like
just
doing it naturally. But if you end up with a healthy baby at the end, like
natural or not, I'm eyeing off these donuts. Can we have a donut?
Okay.
Oh
my goodness.
Oh my god. Right. Well, I'm stealing one of these.
Yeah, I think so. Start with
Krispy Kremes is so bloody easy to just down though.
Oh really? I find.
Don't you find?
No. I find like what's it called? Donut King. Those chocolate ice donuts. I can just.
Oh really?
But these, I have to like work myself. I don't know
why.
Oh my
god, these just dissolve in my mouth.
They're pretty good.
So the last thing we're going to really talk about, because it's so long, we've been chatting for so long, is, I mean, this might not be the case for everyone, because we were just saying that our partners, we find, are quite supportive and that sort of thing, but some partners don't necessarily mean to say it in a certain way, but I think it might be relevant to some mums, is how your husband or your boyfriend, when you have a child, might use certain terms such as like, well, you should know what you're doing, or you know what you're doing because you're the mum.
Like it comes naturally, like it's,
Yeah, and I think that puts a subtle pressure on yourself because...
Or maybe I should know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the female. I should know. I've carried this baby for 9 months. That doesn't mean you know what you're doing. Trust me. There is no Bible when it comes to parenting and motherhood and all of that stuff. And I always wonder, what happened when our parents were parenting? Because there was no Google. There was none of this. There was a few books maybe. And obviously the advice of your peers.
And the fathers were a lot more distant at that time. They weren't allowed in the delivery room. They weren't as hands-on as men are today.
Which is where I think that stems from with the whole, you're the mum, you should know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And back in the day, women didn't work. So it was your job, I guess, to educate yourself and to be all consumed in mother life.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case this day and age. It's just not the case. And it might be the case for some people. Some people might go to extreme lengths to educate themselves and to go above and beyond and learn every ins
Yeah.
and out that you might stumble across. But that's not the case for most people, and I felt that pressure.
Yeah,
Not from
definitely.
Elliot at all. He never made
No.
comments such as that. But I do remember hearing those kind of comments from other men, just
Yeah.
in general. Like, I
Yeah.
can't think of exactly where I've heard it, but I do remember hearing it either growing up or from certain family members may have mentioned it at times. But it's not the case. Like, it comes just as like, we all start the same level playing
Yeah.
field when the baby comes out.
Yeah.
The dad knows just as much as the mum, except the mum has literally just housed the baby. That is literally the same playing field. So if you're going to be the full-time carer, whether that be you're the dad or the mum, then you're the one that's going to know.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn over time. It's not...
And you spend more time with them, so you get to learn their cries and what their cries mean. But you don't know that from the beginning. It doesn't...
No, and that's actually something to mention is someone said to me once, you'll know your baby. You'll know what the cry means. I did not know what Darcy's cry meant for about 6 months. No, I'm not kidding. Like, I thought, like, people said to me, you'll be able to tell the difference. No. It might have been 4 months, actually, because that was when we started the whole sleep training.
Yeah.
Not necessarily sleep training, but just sort of like more of a routine.
Yeah.
But it didn't come naturally for me. I had to really think long and hard.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I had a lot of anxiety around when Darcy cried. Whenever he'd cry instantly, I'd be like, oh, I've got to get him. Oh my God, like there's something wrong with him. And I think that came from the pressure of, don't be a bad mum.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
You should know why he's crying right now.
Yeah.
Freaking know nothing. I know nothing. And then I would try boob. I'd try changing him. I would try playing with him. Everything. And some people, this makes me think of a whole other topic that annoys me. But don't you bloody hate when Janet at the shop says, they're tired and ready for a nap, are they? No, Janet, they just got up, damn it. Like, don't tell me what my child is doing.
I hate it when people...
Or, time for a feed.
Yeah.
And they
really?
stare at you like, get your babe out. Like, come on. Fuck off. I
Yeah.
just fed my child. Like, that annoys me so much. External opinions.
Yeah. I can't
No,
handle
can't
it.
deal.
No. I learnt his cry pretty early on, but I attribute
Did you?
that to the staff at the hospital. They were, every time he would cry, I would have that instinct, as you said, to go to him and to just try everything. And the midwives and the nurses that would come in would say, no, wait, just wait 2 minutes. Okay. And they're like, just think of it as you're learning his cries. And so every time he would cry, I'd just wait 2 minutes. And it was like the longest 2 minutes ever, but I would just wait and wait. And sometimes he would just stop crying and go back to sleep. Or sometimes he would, keep crying, and so then I knew he was hungry or he needed winding or whatever. Winding?
Yeah.
What's the
That's
word for
right.
that?
That's
Burping?
right. Yeah.
And I think that really helped learning what his cries were. And then I would say to my husband, don't you know what he's saying? Like, how can you not understand? But I think it's easier, for a woman to...
Or for the full-time carer.
Even now, if he cries and my husband doesn't... I'm like, don't you understand? Like, I'll be in the next room, like, he wants this. How can you not understand that?
Yeah, and that's so true. Like, it's whoever's around them more.
Yeah.
Because I do the same thing. Like, Elliot's just about to watch the kids next month when I go to Melbourne.
Yeah.
And I have told myself, lower expectations. So when you come home, if the house is a tip, it's okay.
Yeah.
They're all alive. Whereas for
Yeah.
me, I have expectations for myself.
Yeah.
That now I know their cries. I know what they both need. I know who to prioritize over what scenario. I am there all the time doing it. So that's, I think, a good point is that whoever the full-time carer is, whether that be the mum or the dad, is going to be the one who knows the most.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a really great way to end it because, I mean, we've chatted a long time. And I'm stuffed to the brim.
I can't even look at the food. I feel so full. Oh my goodness. goodness.
I know, but thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
No worries. If you guys enjoyed today's topic, don't forget to go down and hit the thumbs up. So if you guys have any advice on today's topic or you have any further questions for us, then go down and leave them in the comments. We will be replying. And of course, as I said, go down, check Holly out over on Instagram, give her a follow. And while you're over there, follow myself too. Shameless plug. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.